Hi guys, it is Tamara. Thank you so much for coming back to my channel. Welcome back. Today is Friday and we're going to be talking about PTSD and emotional memories. A lot of you had questions for me on Wednesday after the video I posted on complex PTSD. You guys had a lot of questions for me via email and tweets and on YouTube and my website, and you sent me emails about emotional memories. So I want to kind of delve into that a little bit for you, but then at the same time I want to hold some information for next week, because we're going to be talking about working memory and long-term memory and short-term memory and all that stuff in terms of trauma. So let's just go ahead and jump into this video, and then we'll finish it out next week. All right, so thank you so much for coming back to my channel. For those who are subscribed and for those who are new, I encourage you to hit the subscribe button so you can stick around with us and be a part of our growing channel and community. The benefits for you in today's video is that I'm going to highlight a couple of things regarding PTSD, and emotional memories. So on Wednesday, I did a video about complex PTSD, and a lot, and I mean a lot of you sent me back-to-back emails. I pulled up my email and I was like, oh my God, what the heck? You know, it was a lot of emails asking the same question. You know, how should we see emotional memories? Is it a bad thing that I'm not remembering my childhood? You know, why am I missing bits and pieces of my memory? So I want to highlight some things in today's video about that, because there's some physiological and neurological components to it. And as I've seen in your comments on YouTube and in your responses to me via email, you guys are pretty knowledgeable about the brain. You know about the hippocampus. There were a couple of you that mentioned the hippocampus. There were a couple of you who mentioned the amygdala, the limbic system. So you guys know that that's involved in there. But there's other component parts to this, and there's other pieces that only a trained professional would understand. So I'm going to be talking about that today, and then I'm going to be talking about it next week. All right, so let's just start with two important things when you're thinking about emotional memories. Okay, emotional memories can be either mood congruent or mood dependent. Okay, mood congruent or mood dependent. I'm going to put it right here for you. Mood dependent or mood congruent. Now, these sound similar, but they are not. Okay, so mood congruent means that you can actually go back in time and pull memories to the forefront when you are currently in that mood state or that emotional state. Okay, so for example, let's say that you're having a good time and you're with family and friends and you're at a family member's wedding, and you know there's a cool breeze and you're loving the sunset, and you know you're just having a really good time. Well, that could be a moment that can trigger a similar emotional memory and experience from the past. That triggering event, okay, then allows you to go back in time and pull to the forefront, or in your current state of emotional existence, that memory, right? There's a similar experience. You know, this happens a lot when you are, this happens a lot to people, I should say, who are walking through a mall and they hear children, or they hear the click-clacking of the shoes. I'm sorry guys, there's like a traffic fight out my window. I apologize for that. Or you're smelling popcorn in the mall. You know, I know that when I go to the mall, to purchase phones or whatever I need in there, when I walk through the mall, I think of my childhood. Because I'm in that state, right? That emotional state is congruent with my current mood. And my memory of my childhood is congruent. It matches. You know, I have similar warm, fuzzy feelings when I walk through a mall now that I did when I was younger, if that makes sense. So what I used to do with my mom is I used to like to run through the mall, and I would look for food. So I would get like slushies and ice cream cups and ice cream sandwiches and popcorn. And I always loved the smell of popcorn, the butter from the popcorn, as I walk through the mall with my mom. And so now that I'm an adult, if I go through the mall, that's the first thing that comes to my mind. It's a memory. It's like a flashback, you know? It's like, oh, that's what it was like when I was with my mom when I was about 9 or 10, or oh, I remember that feeling and that emotion, right? I remember that thought. That's such a wonderful thought. So that's what can happen to you, right? You can start to drift off into a similar emotional memory to the experience that you're having. So in other words, I don't want to confuse this for you. So in other words, in that present moment that you're having that flashback or that memory, that emotion is similar to the emotion that you experienced in the past. Okay, that's the best way that I can put that. Now, mood dependent means that the memory is dependent upon what mood state you are in at the time. So if you have an abuse or a trauma history, if you are currently in a state of fear, if you are currently in a state of fight or flight, if you are currently in a state of depression, then you're going to pull to the forefront memories that are depressing and hurtful and really difficult to grapple with. That's why sometimes when you are being triggered through PTSD, it's kind of hard to block those flashbacks, because if you're in a current state of emotional pain or fear or anxiety, it's causing that flashback. So it's mood dependent, right? Flashbacks are typically dependent upon your mood. Depending on whatever mood you're in will depend on what flashback you're going to have and the intensity of that flashback, if that makes sense. Okay, so emotional memories can be mood congruent based on what you're feeling in the moment, or they can be mood dependent, which means they are dependent upon how you are feeling in the moment in terms of your mood. Are you happy? You're probably going to have a happy flashback. Are you depressed? You're probably going to have a depressed flashback. Are you funny? Being funny? Are you humorous right now? You're probably going to think of a flashback that's going to make you laugh. Mood dependent. Mood congruent is I am currently experiencing happiness, and so therefore I have a happy memory. Okay? It's a little complex, so I'm going to add a link in the description box below. Go ahead and check that out so you can read more about that. All right. So what is PTSD and emotional memories? Why are there gaps in your memory? Why is it really difficult for you to remember your childhood, to remember the traumatic experience, to remember the heartache and the pain? Why does it feel like there's gaps in your lifespan, right? You can't remember your adolescence, you can't remember your adulthood that well, your young adulthood, it's just kind of foggy. Well, you can blame your amygdala and your limbic system for that, okay? Our amygdala and our limbic system has a lot to do with our memory, and so does a little small piece of the brain, and I'm going to put a picture over here for you, called the hippocampus. The hippocampus really has a lot to do with memory and long-term memory, and really setting memories, at the foundation of our brain and our experiences. It really does cement our memories to our emotions, the hippocampus. It creates a context for us so that we can begin to create a memory. The amygdala and the limbic system creates the emotional aspects of the memory, but the hippocampus places the emotion in context, if you know what I mean by that. I like to think of the amygdala as the thing that gives me the meaning to that memory. I have the feelings, I have the thoughts, but the hippocampus really cements that experience for me. It creates the context. The amygdala and the limbic system is the furniture within the house, and the hippocampus is the house. It provides the overall context for the memory. That's the way that I like to explain it to my clients, okay? So the limbic system and the amygdala, those are the components within the house, the furniture, all that stuff, and then the hippocampus is the actual house, okay? It creates the context. So that's the best way to think of that. When you have gone through a traumatic experience, as I always say, and I did say it in this video right up here, you can sometimes go into fight or flight mode when you don't need to, right? Your fight or flight response, your alert system, your central nervous system dominance, all of that gets triggered, and you begin to go into fight or flight mode. And so what happens during fight or flight mode is your body begins to shut down. And I talk about that in this video right up here in case you want to go back and check that out. But, that's in that. I think it's important for me to point out really briefly that when you are in the fight or flight mode or fight or flight stage, your body begins to change, your brain begins to change, and the amygdala and the hippocampus and the limbic system kick in. There are other component parts to emotional memories as well, such as the prefrontal cortex. The way that I want you to think of the prefrontal cortex is is executive functioning. And executive functioning is a higher order functioning. It's kind of like our reasoning, our logical skills, right? Our ability to reason and really put things in their proper place, to be able to rationalize and logistically figure things out. The prefrontal cortex is heavily involved in emotional memories as well, because it provides not only the cognitive aspects, right? So the executive functioning, our intelligence, our ability to reason and rationalize and be logistical. It not only has the cognitive area, but it also has the emotional area and the personality area as well. We have that emotional piece, right? We have the impulsivity and the personality components. That's why when the prefrontal cortex is injured, if there's so many concussions, if there's, a terrible tragedy, there's a story about an individual by the name of Phineas Gage, and he was a railroad worker, and he had a terrible incident in which an iron rod went through his eye socket and came out of the top of his head. And he was never the same after that. And one of the reasons why he was never the same was because he had damage to the prefrontal cortex, and that's the area behind the forehead. It's right here. And when that gets jumbled, so does your ability to reason. So does your ability to be logistical and methodical. So does your ability to control your impulses, right? He developed this habit of cursing all the time. He was more of a rough and aggressive type of a man after that terrible tragedy. So I want you to keep that in mind when you're thinking of PTSD and emotional memories, that it's not only the amygdala and the limbic system, but it's also the hippocampus that provides the context, right? And it's also the cognitive and personality and emotional components of the prefrontal cortex together. So these different parts of the brain really do create kind of like this team that's working together in an individual who's suffering from post-traumatic stress disorder, complex PTSD, and emotional memories, or lack of emotional memories, I should say. Okay? So I want to point out a couple more things in terms of, what happens to you that creates those gaps in time, right? What's going on? Well, there's a couple of research studies that supports the view that when you're experiencing flashbacks or emotional memories, or you're trying to recall this really harsh emotional reality, that the brain actually dissociates from that reality so that it doesn't have to go back to the pain. It doesn't have to go back to trying to process the incident and trying to make sense out of it, right? And trying to flip it this way and flip it that way and flip it that way, right? So the brain kind of checks out. While you're trying to figure out what's going on, the brain is back here somewhere doing its own thing because it doesn't want to focus in on the trauma. So there's some research, that suggests that that's what happens. But yeah, so that's one component that research suggests. Now there's another concept. Another concept is that in order for you to cope with the painful memories and emotions, you just completely forget. You almost become like one who has amnesia. Right? You kind of check out. And I'm going to be talking about that next Monday or Wednesday, I believe it is. I'm going to be talking about different kinds of traumatic amnesia because it's something that can happen to many of us. And there's different forms of amnesia and working memory and long-term memory and all of that. So we're going to get to that. So stay tuned for those videos. But there is some research that suggests, that in order for us to cope with the pain and the memory and the trauma and all of that, we really do check out, and we kind of become absent-minded purposely, and we develop this kind of amnesia. Some people develop amnesia and dissociation in such a fashion that they have multiple personalities. They have split off and split up into different individuals and different personalities and different characteristics, and I talk about that in this video right up here for you if you want to go back and check that out. But PTSD and emotional memories is pretty complex, and I can actually do a whole month series on this particular topic. And I might actually try to do that. We'll see how that goes. But I do want you guys to have this foundation and this knowledge so that as we move forward next week, you'll have this foundational knowledge. Now, next week, I'm going to be talking about, again, long-term memory, working memory, and trauma. I'm also going to be talking about the different kinds of amnesia that can occur with trauma. All right, so stick around for those videos. I think you're going to like them. Thank you so much for being with me today in this video. I encourage you to give it a thumbs up if it was helpful to you, and go ahead and hit that subscribe button to stick around with us, and I will see you Monday with a brand new video. All right, guys, have a wonderful weekend and take care of yourself. Bye-bye.